Hey, folks. So, you know my story, right? Everybody knows about Jonah and the whale. It was a big fish, technically, but that's not the point. Everybody says, don't run from God. Remember Jonah. Let me just tell you, everybody thinks they know my story. But I'm here to tell you that whoever wrote that down did not give you all of the relevant information. First of all, I didn't ask to be a prophet. I mean, it's not an easy life. Who would choose that? Most of the time, you're telling people how bad they are and all the bad things that are going to happen to them if they don't stop. In case it's not obvious, doesn't always go over very well. So I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't choose to be a prophet. This is just what God made me. Second, while in hindsight, it was perhaps not a great idea to try to run away from God. I had very good reasons. See, I'd been having these dreams. Dreams were typically how the prophecies came to me, but these dreams were awful, terrible, harrowing nightmares of the destruction of my people, Israel. They haunted me for months. I couldn't shake them. And then, strangely, suddenly, they changed. There was still the death and destruction. But this time, it was of Assyria, our enemies, the ones who I'd first dreamed were going to destroy us. So I felt a little relief. I thought, well, maybe that's okay. I mean, maybe Israel will be spared after all. They can't destroy us if God destroys them first, right? That's when God came to me in a different way.
Jonah.
Like that, a voice from heaven.
Jonah, get up and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their evil has come to my attention.
Well, duh, they're evil. I mean, everybody knows that. The whole lot of them are rotten. They're always lying, cheating, scamming. I mean, they don't even know the one true God. Plus, I knew because of my dreams that they were going to be destroyed. And frankly, they deserved it because of what they could have done to my people. So that's why when this message came to me, I thought, no way, I don't want to have anything to do with that mess. That is why I ran. I mean, makes a little sense, right? Well, so then you know, it didn't go so well for me. I almost got this whole crew of sailors killed too. I feel kind of bad about that. And, you know, you've heard about it. So overboard, big fish swallows me in its stomach for 3 days. It was pitch dark and scary, not to mention gross and smelly. I mean, trust me, you don't even want to think about what else was in there. It was enough. It was enough to make me break down and beg God for help. So God had the fish barf me up on the land, and there I was, and the voice again.
Jonah, get up and go to Nineveh, that great city, and declare against it the proclamation that I'm commanding you.
This time I said, fine, I'll do it. I mean, that's kind of a message I can get behind, right? So, okay, no messing around. This time, I went straight there. Right over the border, right into Nineveh. Big city. Went right to the middle of it. Found the most crowded place I could. And everyone made a really big, wide circle around me. I didn't watch the fish barf off, I guess. Anyway, found a good spot there in the middle, and I delivered my sermon. In 40 days, the city of Nineveh will be destroyed. It was a short sermon. So I hightailed it out of there. I didn't want to be a part of whatever was going on there. Honestly, I was kind of hoping that none of them were paying attention and they wouldn't do anything. But I also wanted a front row seat. So I went up on a hillside overlooking the city, sat there, waited for the fireworks. You want to know what happened? A big, fat nothing. Nothing. No fires, no floods, no tornadoes, no dust storms, no destruction. Nothing. Not a thing. So I just sat there, waiting. And there comes the voice.
Good job, Jonah. The people of Nineveh are repenting. They're apologizing and making amends for their wrong. And I've decided not to destroy them.
That, folks, that was the moment that I lost it. I came unglued, and I let God have it. See? I just knew something like this was going to happen. This is why I didn't want to have anything to do with it in the first place. I just knew that you would be merciful and compassionate and full of faithful love and patience and kindness and forgiveness. How dare you? I thought you were a God of justice. Just kill me now. I'd rather be dead.
Jonah, is your anger a good thing?
I was so angry. I couldn't talk. So, went off a ways further into the desert, and I made myself a sorry little, kind of shelter. I sat there and I stewed about all the reasons I had a right to be mad at God. And then, out of nowhere, this shrubby little tree just pops up. Wasn't anything much to look at, but it was shadier than what I'd made. So I went and sat down in the shade of the little tree, and wasn't so bad. It kept the heat off of me all day. I started to get a little calmer, felt a little better. Was able to sleep that night. Then the next morning, it up and rots and falls over dead. What? Thanks, God. Way to kick a guy while he's down. Can't I just die now?
Jonah, is your anger about the shrub a good thing? Is it right for you to be angry?
Yeah. Yes. As a matter of fact, it is. I have a right to be angry.
Really, Jonah? You're so upset about this little shrub, but you didn't do anything for it. You didn't plant it, or water it, or anything. And it only lasted one day and died the very next. Have you considered that I created Nineveh and all its more than 120,000 people, plus all their animals? Can I feel pity for all those people who are so lost they don't know right from wrong?
You've had questions of God. Perhaps you've heard God speaking to you and weren't sure what to do. Maybe you escaped even. At this time, if you have any questions or concerns, if you felt a nudge from God, this would be the time as we sing our closing song that you could come forward. And I know Pastor Kaiya will be coming back out. And you could visit with her. You may also call the church office or call Pastor Kaiya. I believe her cell number is listed on the bulletin. Anyways, why don't we stand and sing our closing song, Trust and Obey, number 467.
For a moment, I realized that encounter ended rather abruptly. That's biblical. It ends exactly the way the book of Jonah does, with a lot of strings and questions. What happened? What did Jonah do? How did he feel? I think it's good that we don't know, because it invites us into that space. Into that space where maybe we've been really angry, maybe righteously indignant. Maybe we didn't want to not be mad anymore. We wanted to stay mad. Maybe we even wanted something that we know we shouldn't have wanted, or we felt bad about it. I have a lot of compassion for the person of Jonah. It seems on the surface it could almost be silly. I mean, a mockery. Why would he not want people to be saved? I mean, shouldn't we all want that for everybody, right? Well, here's some historical perspective. 200 years, about 200 years after this story of Jonah, where the people of Nineveh, the capital city of Assyria, repent and are saved. About 200 years later, Assyria takes down the northern kingdom of Israel. Jonah wasn't wrong. His people were destroyed. So, I kind of get it. And when we can identify with that and really understand that, I think it helps us to appreciate all the more how what Jesus calls us to do, to love our enemies just as our friends and family, it's a pretty tough thing to do. And I get it. And so I shared that with y'all in the hopes that you could enter into a story, one of our well-known faith stories, in perhaps a way you had not been able to before. And in a way, maybe, that helps you reflect on your perspective, what it truly means to be called to love one another, no exceptions. What does that look like? That's what Jonah struggled with. And I can't say he was wrong. This story is just one of my favorites, one of the best in the Bible, I think, because it shows us how real the Bible is, how relevant it is, even this many thousands of years later. Because we know how that feels. At least I know how it feels to be called to do something that I didn't sign up for, that I didn't choose to do, but to know that if we are to cooperate with God's purposes, we got to let go of what we think we know and trust that God knows what God's doing. So, my prayer for you this week is that you encounter the world anew, that you find compassion somewhere that perhaps you didn't expect, and that you are prepared to offer that compassion and understanding to anyone who needs it. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of what makes this such an incredible church, and why I'm so excited to be here with you in ministry. Go in peace, and I hope to see you tonight.